Showmoe Data, and this is Built to Trust. I started this podcast because after years of building products and leading engineering teams, I learned, often the hard way, that the real work isn't just shipping code or hardware. It's earning trust and keeping it when things get difficult. Trust with the people we lead, the partners we work with, the customers we serve, and the families we go home to at night. The longer I do this, the more I believe that trust isn't soft. Trust is infrastructure. If you don't invest in it, everything you try to scale will wobble. I've spent the last decade and a half in high-stakes environments, electric and hybrid aircraft, autonomy, systems that don't get many chances. I've seen urgency used well when it focuses a team and used poorly when it becomes noise and panic. I've hired great people and I've made hiring mistakes. I've waited too long to have the hard conversation, and I've moved too fast when I should have listened longer. Over time, one theme keeps showing up. Performance follows trust. Leadership often feels lonely. You can read every book, follow every framework, and still feel unprepared the moment the decision is yours. There's no playbook for telling a smart, well-intentioned engineer that their role has outgrown them. There's no checklist for how to push hard without breaking people. And there's definitely no simple way to be calm at work and then instantly present at home. We're all threading that needle. My goal with this show is to make sure you don't have to thread it alone. Here's what I believe. First, clarity beats intensity. Teams don't fail because people aren't busy. They fail because the work isn't crisp. If everyone is sprinting, but no one is aligned, you're generating heat, not progress. When I'm honest about my own misses, almost all of them trace back to a lack of clarity. I thought I was empowering by giving space. What I was really doing was being vague. Space without structure is abdication, not empowerment. The fix is simple, but not easy. Define the problem, define the owner, define the timeline, and define how we'll know it's working. Then get out of the way while staying in the loop. Second, urgency is a tool, not a mood. It's right for a launch window, a safety issue, a customer outage. But a team cannot live in permanent sprint. If everything is on fire, nothing is on fire. The body tunes it out. The longer I lead, the more I pair urgency with recovery. Push, then reflect. Demand, then debrief. A fast team that never learns is just a team scheduled to burn out. Third, hiring is product design. You're designing a system that ships outcomes, and every person you add changes that system. Hire only for brilliance, and you'll pay later in coordination costs. Hire only for fit, and you'll pay in capability gaps. The bar is both capable and coachable. I'm slower on hiring and faster on clarity. What problem will this person own? What does great look like in 90 days? And what support do they have? If I can't answer that, I'm not hiring, I'm hoping. Fourth, accountability is about promises, not punishments. High trust teams keep promises they can keep and renegotiate the ones they can't before they break. Accountability starts with leaders writing clearer social contracts. Here's what I expect by when. Here's why it matters. Here's how we'll inspect progress. Here's your lane. When that's explicit, accountability feels like craft, not a trap. None of that makes the job easy. One of my hardest days was letting go of someone I liked and respected. They cared. They worked hard. They weren't succeeding in the role the company needed. I waited too long, hoping time would fix it. It didn't. When we finally talked, they were more gracious than I was prepared for. Later, they told me, "I knew weeks ago. Thank you for saying it out loud." The team moved faster afterward. I don't share that as a victory. I share it as a reminder. Leadership is courage plus kindness. Delay isn't kindness. Clarity is. People ask how being a dad affects my leadership. A lot. Kids expose your gaps with zero political filter. With my daughter, I learned that listening isn't the same as waiting to speak. At work, I used to jump in with answers because it was faster. At home, jumping in created tears. At work, it created disengagement. Slowing down to let someone finish doesn't make you less decisive. It makes you accurate. And the fastest way to become a bottleneck is to be the only person allowed to have ideas. These days, I try to treat one-on-ones less like status updates and more like design reviews of someone's thinking. If they leave clearer and more capable, that was a good meeting. If they leave with me owning more, it wasn't, no matter how productive it felt. Here's the plan for the show. For the first 5 episodes, it's just me, my stories, tools, and frameworks from the trenches. Clarity beats intensity, urgency as a tool, hiring as product design, accountability as promises, and more. After those first 5, I'll start bringing in engineering leaders from across the tech world, aerospace, robotics, SaaS, AI, people who've scaled teams, shipped hard things, and learned where trust breaks and how to rebuild it. You'll hear where they struggled, what they look for when they hire, how they handle underperformance, and the frameworks they use when the situation is ambiguous. I want you to hear how different leaders solve the same problems, so you can build your own playbook, not borrow mine. What can you expect each week? Honesty before polish. Specifics before slogans. When a principle shows up, like clarity beats intensity, I'll talk about a real decision. What I saw, what I did, what I do differently. When guests join later, we'll go deeper than the highlight reel. The hard emails, the 2 a.m. messages, the recalls and rebuilds, the moments they realized leadership is less about being right and more about making room for truth. A few guiding principles anchor me when things get noisy. Default to transparency, earned with care, share more context than feels comfortable, but never at the cost of someone's dignity. Feedback is a gift only when it's specific and soon. If I can't describe what I saw and how it affected outcomes, I'm venting, not coaching. Decide at the right altitude. Strategic conflicts aren't solved with task lists, and task conflicts aren't solved with vision statements. And write it down. Culture is memory, and memory is fragile. I like rituals that make teams braver. Short debriefs after launches. What did we intend? What happened? What did we learn? What will we change? Decision logs that capture the why, so we don't refight old battles. Quarterly stop doing lists, because addition without subtraction is how teams drown. And a check-in I use a lot. What's one thing we're not saying that would help us move faster? When people trust that truth won't be used against them, they'll offer it. When they don't, they'll perform agreement and go silent later. That silence is expensive. If you're here for tactics, you'll get them. But tactics only work inside relationships that can hold them. When trust is low, even good processes fail. When trust is high, teams can ship miracles with process that's merely adequate. So, we build process that expresses trust, clear ownership, visible priorities, inspectable work, and short feedback loops. And when we mess up, and we will, we repair, not perform. We apologize without theater. We change behavior, and we move. A word on energy. Leaders leak. If I walk in scattered, the team feels it. If I walk in grounded, they borrow it. My mornings aren't perfect, but when I start with a short plan and 5 quiet minutes, I lead differently. I end the week with a written recap. Here's what we moved. Here's what's blocked. Here's where I owe a decision. Small habits, big compounding. You'll hear technical stories here. That's my world. Trade studies, safety cases, integration hell. Tests that pass for the wrong reason and fail for the right one. You'll also hear fully human stories. The teammate who needed time off and didn't know how to ask. The meeting I had to stop and reset because my tone was wrong. The times home taught me something work never could. I don't separate those worlds anymore. The point isn't to be perfect in both, it's to be the same person in both. If this resonates, here's my ask. Subscribe so new episodes find you. Share this with someone who's carrying a lot right now. And send me your questions. Hiring, performance, strategy, culture, because some of the best conversations on this show will come from your prompts. I'm grateful you're here at the start. I don't take your attention lightly. My promise is to respect your time with candor, useful detail, and the kinds of conversations I wish I'd heard earlier in my career. Over the first 5 episodes, I'll walk through the core ideas and stories that shaped how I lead. Then we'll open the mic to leaders who have scaled 0 to 1 and 1 to many across industries, builders who have made the same mistakes you and I have and found better ways forward. Built to Trust exists because the work we do matters, and the way we do it matters even more. Here's to building things worth shipping, teams worth joining, and lives we don't have to step out of to lead. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in episode 2.